Hi, and welcome back to another episode of The Breakdown with Bethany. I'm Bethany Brown Silva, and today my guests are Cat and Nat. If you don't know who Cat and Nat are, definitely check them out. They were like the OG mom influencers, comedians, and BFFs. They're literally like your virtual mom best friend. I have loved them for the last 6 or 7 years. I actually interviewed them about 6 years ago, and they were just as lovely then as they are now. And fun fact, they did the interview from inside a vehicle. This wasn't my first time interviewing someone who was in their vehicle. It just goes to show parents, we got to do it when we can, where we can, right? So I totally appreciate the time and their authenticity. This is a great pair, and I just love them so much. Check it out. I'm actually really excited to talk to you both. I interviewed you guys when you were on tour like 6 years ago. And you were so fantastic then as you are now. And we're going to jump into all the Invisalign back to school stuff. But I also just saw on Instagram, you guys are kind of like celebrating 15 years of like friendship, sisterhood. Can you talk to me a little bit before we jump into all that other stuff about that? What's that has been like being like side by side for the last 15 years on the creator journey, on the motherhood journey, all of that.
It's so weird because it was my daughter's 15th birthday yesterday, and Nat had Taylor, who is 9 months older than Olivia, but we were the first to have babies, and we had known each other in high school and good old Facebook. When she saw I had a baby, she was like, yes. So she was like, it was just so interesting when I was like, oh my gosh, this is fifth, because we were all at dinner last night. I'm like, this is 15 years. Like, this is 15 years, which went by so quickly. And we've been creating since the boys were like two, one, yeah, like for like 11 years. Or just doing things together, sort of like as a side business. And I don't know. I don't know if you can really I don't know if any of us can grasp how quickly parenthood goes by, even when you're in it. And when someone's like, you have a 15-year-old, they said that to me at the store the other day. I'm like, yeah. And
I totally remember those moms that like had older kids, and I was like, that seems so foreign. I can't imagine that we'll ever have kids that age. But we
oh
were,
yeah, she said I can't. Someone at the grocery store,
yeah.
I can't, because she was trying to pick up like she was trying to juggle a stroller and all of her
Oh,
groceries. I'm like, you put it under. I'm like, here, let me help you. I'm gonna put it underneath the stroller. She was like a new mom, and she's like, do you have kids? I'm like, yeah, three. And I was like, my 15-year-old just grabbing me a drink across the street, not like a coffee across the street. And I was like, oh, she's like, you have a 15-year-old? I can't imagine. I'm like, me neither.
and it is crazy to think that like we started hanging out every day, and we just realized that like being a mom is so hard. So if you could do it with like a wife beside you, it was just easier. And when we realized that, there was just not a day that was ever going to go by that we weren't
Yeah.
going to do it. And people are always like, I wish I had that. And we're so lucky that we found it.
It was a weird moment last night. I was like, 15 years. This went by fast.
And I mean, we have a lot more to look forward to, I'm hoping, because you guys have been such a staple. Like, I've been a parenting journalist for 12 years. And so really through that time,
We've been
we've,
it together.
we've
We've
been
been
together.
together, you and we've done this all together.
That's right. You have been by my side. And now, as I have a 12-year-old and an 8-year-old, and we're heading back to school, I look to other moms out in the space, the creators. What are they doing? Who are they? How are they, managing as, in our, we've kind of grown up together, the kids, all of it. So talk to me a little bit about heading back to school with your whole brood, your combined like families, all of it. What does it look like?
Well, first of all, I was
Denial.
yeah, denial, because if we see in the States that people are going back to school, we still have a few weeks. But yesterday something came, people were starting to get schedules in the mail, and I was like, oh no, here we go. Like, oh, this is like, so, I like the ease of summer, because as soon as school starts, the craziness of getting everything ready, and then just going literally from like summer chill into schedules, and that's when their sports start. And it's like you just like hit the ground running, and you have to have everything. And at the end of the day, we want our kids to be independent and responsible, but we're the ones who have to make sure they have every single thing ready, because if they're already nervous or anxious and then they're not prepared for the things that they have, that just makes everything worse. So you want to make it smooth sailing, so you're like, it's going to be intense, but I haven't even started thinking about it.
And we have 3 going to new schools this year. Like usually we only have 1 or 2, like 1, usually only 1 a year going to a new school. This year, 3 are all in new schools. So it's a lot. It's a lot. But we're okay. You know what? We've done it every year. We're all going to do it again. That's what we all do. Moms just do it. Remember that. If you're stressed, don't worry. They're going to go to school. It's going to work out.
It's like I remind myself of everything. Like before I had a baby, I was like, oh my God, that's gonna be so crazy. Then I had a baby. Then it was like all these things, like everyone in the world has done this before.
We're going to be okay.
I am definitely not the worst case scenario, worst case scenario. So like, this is going to be okay.
I love it. I love it. Words of inspiration. But tell me about the partnership with Invisalign. It's something that I've, always been curious about. And just, tell us from your perspective why this was a good fit for you both.
So I started my own journey with it like a few years ago, and I loved it. And then we got introduced to the Invisalign palatal expander, which is like a version of expansion in their mouths, which I think some people are aware of because there used to be, there is a metal one. Like my oldest daughter went through the metal one, and my younger one's just a different type of child, and was basically like never, like there's no convincing her of something different. And it would have been a really challenging journey. So I'm so thankful that Invisalign, the palatal expander, came into our lives literally when she needed it, because it's an autonomous journey for her where she's in control of putting in and out. And she's really that type of child where she could track her own journey. They're every day you switch them in and out. So it was something that she could take out and take in, clean her teeth, and eat with it, eat without it. And I just feel like for her, it was the most perfect option, and it was less painful. I didn't have to touch her mouth.
That's another thing. It's like when the kids had the metal ones, we were the ones who had to be involved. And so you have that like this with them, I mean, over everything in the whole world. So to take one thing and let them be in charge.
And if they go to camp or something, someone else has to do it for them. And, just the option of her being able to do it herself was a really perfect fit. And I'm just so thankful there's options, because there is control issues that go on with things around their mouth, or, what they do want or don't want. And it can be a not a fun experience. And it was really something that took a load off me. Like, it was so much easier because she was so compliable and she wanted to do it and she was excited for it to work. And it like kept just like expanding her teeth. I was like, this is crazy. So it really was a great option for her to have it. And thank goodness there was an invention that wasn't so, I always used to say it's just kind of archaic. I'm like, it's all metal. And now
it was always so dramatic too.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew every time that she had to turn it for her daughter. And for my son, I was like, this like clunk of metal in the mouth was just so uncomfortable. Now there's such a nicer option for her.
It was interesting. I was really thankful. I was thankful that she got to be one of the first to try it. It was really amazing.
And by the way, our kids have also used the Invisalign aligners in replacement of braces, and that has been unexpectedly smooth as well, especially when you have to be responsible and you've got some irresponsible boys. I thought maybe it wouldn't work, but they surprised me.
I know, it's like that autonomy piece is really like key, I think, when especially when like preteens and teens. So I'm so glad that's working out for you guys. My final question, I know you mentioned like getting all like the schedules. It can be a bit like challenging getting everybody on track with sports and school. But one of my favorite things about sending my kids back to school is that it does free up my day like quite a bit. Yes, mornings and afternoons are crazy, but I'm able to kind of like recharge and reset. Do you guys take time for like self-care when the kids are back at school, or maybe not? Like, what does that look like for you guys?
Sometimes, I think that people talk about like the mental load a lot, but I think that sometimes, as our kids get older, and I think you probably know this too, your brain gets busier. Like your schedule might get less, but your brain gets busier because they begin to get their own lives. So when they have opinions and they want to start to do things that are outside of what you've planned, it begins to, and they're not capable of like maybe getting there by themselves. So between like 8 and 16, their lives become so crazy that I think that we have to get better at carving out. I'm really excited for no phones in schools.
Thank goodness.
I think it's going to be a big shift for everybody, and it's going to be nice to have them do their thing and us do our thing.
Because otherwise we really aren't like not
disconnected
from them.
Yeah. And they all have computers so they can text you and stuff, right? So really
So what are we going to do for self-care?
Like-
Kat and I are going to sit and have coffee and talk about everything for hours and hours, and then work together, and that'll be so much
you know
fun.
when friends get together and they just can talk about like everything, even though you talk every day, but when you have like uninterrupted moments to finish everything, that's what we're gonna do. Is like not. I said I don't want to talk about my kids one more time to her. I was like, I'm so done with them.
We're going to go get a life.
Yeah, we're gonna get a leather self-care. We're gonna go for lunch at a restaurant without them.
All right, just make sure you take us all along with you because
Okay,
we
we
want
will.
we want to
Okay.
see. Thank you both so much. It's always such a pleasure. Forever a fan. So I'll be following on the journey, whether it's back to school.
You're so kind.
So thank you so
too.
much.
Good luck and thank you for having us.